The worst dating advice that people give to singles, and usually it's your married girlfriends that say this. They say, you'll meet someone when you're not looking. That is awful advice. That's bad advice. Don't listen to that. You should always be looking. You should always be open to the possibilities.
Welcome, welcome. I am so glad you popped by to listen or to watch. On this episode, I welcome my girl, Monique Kelley, a dynamic voice in the world of dating and relationships. Now, Monique is likely a familiar face to you. You've probably seen her, whether it's on TV or maybe in Essence or LA Magazine. Interestingly, though, Monique's journey began after her divorce. She took to a blog. Her blog, Confessions of a Serial Dater in LA, resonated with so many women. So, on behalf of all of my single friends, and any of you out there curious about dipping your toe into the dating pool again, or maybe for the first time, I called up Monique and I said, Girl, come on and let's talk about dating. Grown folks dating. Monique, welcome. It's so good to see you again.
It's so good to be reunited with you and
Look,
reconnected.
we
This is
TV'd a
awesome.
lot.
Yes,
We TV'd a
we
lot.
really did.
We really did during the pandemic. And I wanted to kind of touch base now in the today in 2024 post-pandemic. First of all, is it as bleak out there in the dating realm as all of my friends seem to think it is?
Dating is challenging. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is challenging, it is difficult, and it can be hard. But I also like to tell people be very careful of the dating narrative that you're telling yourself because it's already challenging enough regularly. But if you're telling yourself you're not going to meet anyone, there's not any good guys out there, you're entering the world of dating with that narrative and with that energy. So make sure you're aware of what you're telling yourself while being realistic about what is out there too.
And I imagine that goes for men and women. We'll talk about that in a second. So when we were talking, it was during that COVID era when this was the only way we could see anybody, right? Our family, our friends, dating even was done just only on the apps. What is the reality now post pandemic?
People are getting reacquainted with the world of organic dating because during the pandemic, it was all you really could do to meet people was dating apps. We were in quarantine. The world was in shutdown mode. So a lot of people who weren't normally on dating apps started going on dating apps and getting used to dating apps. So now they're kind of opening up their horizons and realizing in addition to dating apps, we can meet people organically. Or for people who hated dating apps, they're like, hallelujah, I can go out and meet people.
Well, this is a question though. I mean, so we're not just in that space of 100% giving over to the apps. Like, that's not the only way people are dating now, is it?
Well, I tell people you have to have different ways of meeting people. So the apps, yes, use the apps. If you enjoy the apps, use the apps, but do not become so used to apps that you forget about how to meet people outside of dating apps.
That part right there is I think we've forgotten how to talk to one another and we need to reestablish those connections, right? Look at you and me reestablishing a connection. So the idea of this, I like that you call it organic dating. Meeting
Yes.
somebody in the grocery store aisle, or maybe a friend introducing you to a friend or a cousin or a neighbor. That still works.
Yes, it most certainly does.
That's encouraging.
It really does. And you have to really be open to the possibilities. I
Yeah.
say, the worst dating advice that people give to singles, and usually it's your married girlfriends that say this. They say,
Uh,
you'll meet someone when you're not looking. That is awful advice. That's bad advice. Don't listen to that. You should always be looking. You should always be open to the possibilities. That does not
Okay,
mean that
let
you
me
go out.
stop you there. So
Okay.
the difference between looking and open to the possibilities, there's some nuance there, isn't there?
Yes, there is, okay? You don't go out looking thirsty, like, where's the guy? What's going on? Like, every guy you see, you smile, you wink at.
That can
However
repel, right?
exactly, it's like, you don't wanna go out with a spirit of desperation, but at the same time, you go out with a spirit of being open, checking into the energy. When you see someone, is there eye connection? Is there eye contact? Are you feeling something in what I call your inner loving diva that guides you and tells you things?
Ooh,
So you
ooh,
go
really?
out open to the possibility. You put yourself in positions where you are going to meet men, or for men, where you're going to meet women.
Look, this goes both ways.
Yeah,
Whoever the type of person you're looking for, you are going to find them if you're doing the things you love. If you like playing
exactly.
pickleball, you might meet somebody playing pickleball, right? I mean, that's just the thing. Do what you love and the rest may follow.
Absolutely. You find a hobby that you like, especially for women who are newly divorced or newly in the dating scene, being reacquainted with dating again. You find something you love, a hobby that you enjoy doing, or a lot of things, physical activities, going to the
Mm,
gym, going to yoga classes, going to boot camp. You
yeah.
find something where you become a regular member and you meet people, and then you start getting a familiarity with someone. You start getting to know someone, you see each other, you build a friendship, you talk to each other, and it's not as daunting. It's kind of a slow go.
It's daunting. And by the way, I think it's really important to point out, your audience really is are people over 40, specifically women, but I think this
Yes,
works for men as well. People over
yes.
40, we're just in a different headspace. It's a different reality.
It is a different reality. You are not dating in the same way or for the same reasons as when you were in your 20s and 30s. It's very different. For a lot of us, you already have your children, or you come to the realization that you are just going to be a fabulous auntie.
Yeah.
So you're dating someone in the sense of you're not going to be distracted
Mhm,
by raising kids together. You're really
mhm.
dating someone that's going to be your partner, that you really got to like the person and really enjoy being around them, because you're trying to go into this later in life stage where it's
Yeah.
the two of you.
So let's talk about the apps for a second, and then we'll move on
Yes.
and really delve into the organic stuff because I think there's
Yeah.
value in us addressing both. Because as you mentioned, some people are going to be like, yeah, the app is the way to go for me. I'm really strategic. I can really like hone in on what I'm looking for. What would you've done both? Give us some
Mhm.
advice on your experience of the do's and don'ts of the apps. Like, what are some I hate even saying this, but like some best practices to consider and things that we really should be avoiding.
Okay, so the first thing with the dating apps is you want to be very aware of what someone is telling you and showing you in the dating apps. Like Dr.
Mm.
Maya Angelou once said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Believe
That
them.
is really imperative when it comes to the world of dating apps. So when you're looking at someone's profile, I always, attraction is a given. I always tell women, be unapologetic for what you're attracted to. If
Mhm.
you like a certain look, if you like a certain race, if you like a certain build, that is fine. So already we want someone that you're attracted to. Now, let's look at the answers to the prompts. Are they showing emotional maturity and depth? Are they
Mm,
answering the questions where you have things in common? Look at their pictures. Do they travel a lot? Do you like to travel? You're noticing they travel a lot. Do they talk about their family a lot? If family is important to you, are they talking about that? Or are they leading with their money and being flashy with what they're presenting? That says a lot too. So be hyper aware and sensitive to what that says.
I was gonna say, let me just stop there because I think there is this. We've all listened to one too many crime podcasts
Yeah.
about scammers and people that are looking to take advantage of vulnerable people, particularly older women, etc. You do have to be a little more skeptical if you are using the apps because we know people can be interlopers and you put forward a lie about who they are.
You absolutely do, especially when using the dating apps. I mean, already when you meet people out and about, you have to be very cautious, but when you're using a
Absolutely.
dating app, even more so cautious. So, one of my favorite sayings, FaceTime saves time. I
Oh.
always encourage people, when you have connected with someone and you're getting off the app and you're talking about potentially meeting them, have a FaceTime call. Set it up. Don't do it
Ah,
impromptu, but set up a FaceTime call so that you can see that they look like their picture. You could talk
absolutely.
to a little bit and at least get that area of concern cleared.
I love this. I love this. Any other things that we should avoid when we're either even just putting together the profile because like the profile is sort of the main thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
always tell women, have a profile party with your girls. First of all, it makes it a little bit more fun. You have
I've been there.
cocktails. And your friends, they know which pictures look good.
Tell
They'll know,
friends and
like, they're your hype woman. So have them come
absolutely.
over and set it up with you. And then don't put so much on it. Like, don't make it seem
Yes.
like, okay, if I don't have the perfect profile, I'm never going to meet someone. Again,
Yeah.
the dating app is in addition to going
Mhm.
out and meeting people. It's not the only way to meet people. So take that pressure off of yourself.
That's a very good point. Okay, so let's get back into the organic world because I know,
Okay.
and people might even be wondering, like, how's she know all this? This is you're speaking from a place of truth for yourself. You
Let me
got
tell you
here.
something. My advice, it's personal, not clinical. I have been there. I have done everything that I am telling you to do. Okay. It's not some pie in the sky.
So, do you mind sharing? Do you mind sharing a little bit about that? And it's not that I'm trying to delve into a wound, but
No.
I think it's really relatable when people understand how we came to something. And this was born out of your own trying to find a way after a painful divorce.
Yes, it was. And I talk about my divorce all the time because it was unexpected. It was
Mm.
something that was painful. A lot of times people talk about divorce and they're like, I'm so happy I had a divorce party. I was not that person. I was the person that was like, I can't believe I'm getting divorced and I have to be back dating again. Like, really?
Did it take the wind out of your sails a bit?
Oh my God. My divorce was devastating. It was hard. It messed with my confidence.
Whoa.
I was terrified because I was one of those people where, yeah, I was dating and having fun. I mean, at the time I was in my, late 20s
Mhm.
and I was dating. It was very different. But when I got married thinking I was going to be married forever. And not only was my marriage ending, but it was ending after a short amount of time. So I was dealing with the embarrassment of that. I was dealing with having to start over. I was dealing with having to date again. And I did not want to be single again. I want to be very clear. I was not happy having to be single
Yeah,
again at that
yeah.
time, which was a lesson in itself because that's why I got into a marriage in the first place that wasn't the right marriage because I did not want to be single.
Right. Look, we all do things for various reasons and then find ourselves because life be lifing, right? We know
Life
that.
be
You know,
lifing.
life be life, life be lighting. But it gives you a point of connection with a lot of these people that you're counseling is because, if you're over 40 and single, there may be many reasons why you find yourself there. And you may be thinking about dipping your toe, like I said, dipping your toe back into the pool. Your family may be pushing you. You may be lonely and want some companionship. But if you're here, friend, if you are here, first of all, it's important to let people know they're not alone.
Yes. Yes, that's really important and that's been the foundation of everything that I do. I want women to feel connected. You talk about that word connection, Michaela. Connection in a sense of I am someone who has been there with you. A lot of times when someone's giving advice and they haven't been in it with you, it's very structured. It's very disconnected. So I am someone that I am with you ladies in this journey and I have been there.
So what is the move? You find yourself you can speak from your own personal experience or even just think about talking to someone who finds themselves there now, right? Maybe fresh out of a divorce or maybe just, had your head down career-wise and suddenly look up and say, "You know what? I'm ready for a relationship. Let me do this. Let me open up this app. Let me start looking around to see if anybody is interested or interesting." How do you even start? What's the first step?
You have to just start, okay? Like going back to when I was in that process in my journey, I was getting divorced, I was moving, I was starting a new job. I had a family member who had passed away. So all the worst things that can happen to you all happened within months of each other.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, I was like, okay, Monique, I have to get back out there. I don't want to, but I have to. And at the time, I didn't do dating apps. For me personally, I have not done dating apps. It's something for me I haven't had to do, but I understand people that do it and understand their reason why. So for me, I started making it a point to go out with people. I would call friends that I knew were fun, that I knew had my best interest in mind. And we all have some girlfriends that, we love, but they can be a little competitive.
Mm.
So you have to be very selective with who you go out with. And it was a small group of us. We would go out to happy hours. We would go out to jazz outside. We would go out to the beach. When I was at a grocery store, I would just be open to the possibilities at grocery stores, gas stations. I told friends, listen, I'm ready to start dating again. Introduce me to someone. Who do you know? So I just put it out there that I was ready to start dating again. And I started dating. And when I started dating, I wasn't concerned if this was going to be my future husband. Initially, I just wanted to get back out there and just kind of get reacclimated to the world of dating because I had been dating my ex-husband, engaged to my ex-husband, then married to my ex-husband. So I was off the
Right.
market for years. So going
Things
back in
change
was different.
in that time,
It
right?
does. Yep.
And you change in that time.
Yes, absolutely. I most certainly did, 'cause at this point, at that point, I was in my mid-30s dating
Yeah.
again, so it was very different than in my early 20s, and I had been through a divorce. So, I was super sensitive, hyper aware of anything. If I saw anything wrong initially when I started getting back in the dating world, I was like, "I'm out, bye."
So how do you overcome that? Look, I mean, that's real because at some point, one of the great things we talk about as we get older is that we're not putting up with crap. I know who I am. I'm not going to settle. But can you get so set in your ways that you may be rigid about being open to a possibility of someone who is less than perfect? Because the fact is none of us are perfect, right? None of us are perfect.
Right. Absolutely. You know what I had to do? I had to just keep dating. So my blog was called Confessions of a Serial Dater in LA. And the reason why I became a quote unquote serial dater, again, it wasn't like I was out, sleeping with a bunch of people, but I was serial dating in the sense of anytime I found something wrong, I was out and I was on to the next until I met the right person. But at a
Yeah.
certain point, I always say there's one common denominator in every single situation, and it's you. So initially, after a few years of dating again and just not giving anyone a chance and running at the first sign of trouble, I had to deal with my own stuff, the stuff that
Mm.
was left over from my marriage, the stuff that was left over from my
Mm.
childhood that I didn't address. And I had to force myself to be like, okay, I am looking for perfection, and everyone on this planet is perfectly imperfect. So there
Yeah.
was a shift in how I started to date at that point a few years in, but I had to
Yeah.
take a moment to look at myself.
A friend of mine who has been married a long time used to say that basically the secret to a long relationship is finding somebody who'll put up with your crap, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
and when you think about it, I mean, when you think about it, it kind of is that way. Yeah, you want some points of commonality. Maybe family matters to you, and you want family to matter to them. You got to make that kind of list of things that really matter to you. Um, but you also have to find somebody who sort of is the yin to your yang, right? That complements. You're not always going to be in lockstep on everything.
Nope, you're not. And that's the other thing. You gotta get rid of this list. The list
Mhm.
is going to keep you stuck, okay? The list will get
Mhm.
listen, my ex-husband had every single thing on my long list that I asked for and wanted, and I got everything I wanted on that list, and
Yeah.
I got divorced, right? So there's a point where you get rid of the list and you think
Yeah.
about what you just said, your non-negotiables. What are core values that are important to you? What are
Of
your
course.
non-negotiables? And you lead with that.
It's interesting too because then this 40 plus, you get to this point, you've done things in your career, you may or may not have had a family, there may be kids involved, there may be aging parents involved. The kiddos could be littles, they could be bigs. There's likely an ex involved. There are some things to navigate. What do you suggest in terms of even dealing with an ex in a situation like this?
Yeah, that is the difference. When you're dating 40 plus, there is more than likely an ex. And, whether your kids are younger or older, this person is going to be in your life. So when it comes to your ex and dating, if you have met someone and you are vibing and it's been past, a certain amount of time and you're ready to take it to the next level, number one, I always tell people, let your ex know when you're about to introduce, especially your young kids,
Mm.
to your new person. It's not a matter of asking for permission. It's just a matter of
Heads
respecting
up.
a heads up and respecting even the person you're dating so that you're not going into something where there's contention. So I always say make sure you do that. Also in dealing with the ex, there's a lot of pain there. And recognizing when you are triggered, when you're seeing the ex, whether it's the exchange, when you are doing drop off and pick up for kids or having to see them at different events. And sometimes know when you have had that moment around your ex, give yourself a pause to
Hmm.
just kind of breathe it in before you, like, I wouldn't say go on a date a few hours later if it's a new thing. So
You
just
may
be
not have your
aware
feet
of the pain.
underneath you.
Exactly, exactly. So you just gotta give yourself grace and know a lot of that pain, yes, you can be healed, but it doesn't disappear.
And then if there's kiddos in the picture, olders, littles, that also is something that you should have be aware of as you navigate this dating world.
Absolutely. And also, what's important when you are navigating the dating world and you have children in general, as you should, as a parent, your kids are everything to you. You have put your all into your kids. However, when you go back into the world of dating, initially, a lot of times what women do is they start dating someone and they're only thinking about, well, this person like my kids. Is this person someone my kids can relate to? And it's all about the kids, the kids, the kids, which is important. But first,
Yes.
you were you first. Figure out if this is someone you like first and then implement, the kids. You'll start seeing signs and hearing what they're saying, but make sure you are putting your needs in terms of dating, in terms of the connection first, and then implementing the kids into it as well.
Yeah, I suppose you'll know best at what age it's appropriate to talk to your kids about all of these things. You know your children best. You know what's age appropriate. I mean, the last thing you want to do is introduce them to every person that you had a connection with on one of the apps, right? They don't. They don't need that. They don't need that.
Yes. I always say I treat it like a pregnancy. Your first 3 months of pregnancy, normally you're very quiet. You want to make sure you have a healthy pregnancy. You're not telling people, you're making sure you get through that next phase. That's the same thing with relationships. Give it time to see if there's a connection. Then the next 3 months, the second trimester, you're learning more. You're seeing more about the person. You're like, "Okay, they do this. I don't really like it, but I'm going to work with it because nobody's perfect." You start seeing things. So I always say, typically, once you guys are in a committed, monogamous relationship, you've passed through the second trimester of the relationship, then think about it. But to the other end, you don't want to wait till you are about to be engaged. And then you're introducing people, your children,
Oh,
like, this is my
ooh,
fiance. And they're like, who is
ooh,
this
ooh,
person?
ooh.
What?
I've heard tell of stories like that. Okay, as we wrap things up here, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to speak to the person who maybe is stepping into the dating field for the first time in a long time and is feeling a bit like a baby giraffe, trying to get their legs in. Or maybe someone who has been single longer than they would like and are fed up and are needing just a good word from Sister Monique. Go ahead.
Okay, I love that. First of all, know you are enough. You got this. And that all you need is one. At the end of the day, you just need that one person you're
This
connected with.
isn't a game of numbers. We don't need a
Okay,
bunch.
you just need one. And you are going to date people where you are going to have situations where you are going to be disappointed. Being single is brave. You're constantly putting yourself out there with the possibility of being disappointed, being hurt, and things not going the way you want. But then you have that one moment when it does. And then also, this is super important, Michaela, especially for us seasoned folks. I want to give you all tangible advice on where to meet people in addition to and outside of dating apps. Number one, when you are in your 40s plus, your homecomings, high school reunions, go to those places, okay? Because you're gonna meet people you have something in common with, age appropriate. Okay, when you're
They like the
traveling,
same music.
yes, like you guys will have a connection automatically. And sometimes even go to other schools' homecomings. So that's number one. Number two, those airport lounges, if you're traveling, spend the extra money at the airport lounges. We already talked about finding hobbies that you like. Scheduling a date. Schedule at least one day a week where you go out on a date with yourself. Don't be afraid to go out on a date by yourself. Sit at the bar, go do a hobby that you like, do a hike. Schedule a date with yourself. Start dating yourself, and you will see the world of possibilities opening up.
Sis, this is so good. I just appreciate that you really are trying to help people just feel better about this space they're in. Because, look, I think we all are seeking this connection. Like I said at the outset, we seek connection, love connections, building community, all of it. I just appreciate you so much. I appreciate you so much. Hit them with your ads. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Okay, you can find me on Instagram at cocktails and confessions, and also Reality and Chaos. That's my novel. You can find it at Barnes and Noble and Amazon. So
I
check it
love
out.
it. Congratulations to you. Keep on thriving. Keep on being happy. Thank you so much for joining me here on the show today. And for the rest of you, it's been a great time, hasn't it? I told you we'd have a good time with Monique. Thank you for subscribing and following. Tell your friends, and we'll see you next time.